Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Hello. Awesome. I'm seeing some good folks on the call tonight, I should say. Awesome. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Cool. We're still filling up. Everyone grab your tea, grab your water. We'll be here until the top of the hour. I promise, as usual, I won't keep you past that hour. We will wrap up at 8 o'clock Mountain Time. And that's kind of late for our guest hosts tonight who are on the East Coast. One of them is at least. So we will definitely wrap up at the top of the hour, but we're going to have a packed filled night tonight. Okay, it's 7:01. That's my go time. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday night. My name is Maddie Roach. I'm XYPN's Director of Member Services, and I've been hosting this webinar for over 4.5 years, if you can believe it. Maybe some of you have been on all of them. I haven't even been on all of them, but we at XYPN have always hosted this call as an opportunity to let all of you folks who are not yet XYPN members hear a little bit more about the journey of starting and running an RIA, the journey of being an XYPN member, and tonight, the journey of how to become a marketing master with no experience necessary. We have two awesome members on the call tonight. They've done just that. They've built firms. They focused on different clients. They have two very separate and distinct firms, yet they both have this in common. They've both become marketing masters. So please welcome Cristina. Oh man, see, I knew I was gonna say it wrong. Livadary, Cristina Livadary with Mana Financial, and then Eric Roberge with Beyond Your Hammock. Both these folks will introduce themselves and their firms as we get into this call, but I do have a couple things that I like to say before we really start this call. This is a volunteer opportunity for two of our members to help grow this movement and share their experiences. So we really, really want to know if this was a call that helped kind of push you over the edge into membership. If either Eric or Cristina were the reason that you joined the network after this call, we ask on the application of XYPN membership whether anyone referred you. And I really encourage you to either write both their names or one of their names in that so we can thank them generously. Of course, I want to plug next month's webinar, which is Technology Tell All, Tips and Tricks for Integrating Technology into Your Firm. And we have two awesome members hosting that call. So we'll be sure to circulate that registration link as we get further into the call. Per usual, I'm going to field Q&A questions through the Q&A component of the Zoom call. So please just drop any questions that you have come up into that, and I'll answer them or have the guests answer them in live time. We did have a number of questions submitted ahead of time. So I do want to make sure we get to a lot, as many as we can, but I can't promise everyone's questions will be answered. Also, I do want to make sure that we all are set and ready to go. We will have a feedback survey at the end of this. So please do take just a moment or two to tell us if this is a webinar that was worth your time. But without further ado, folks, let's have Cristina introduce herself, her firm. Cristina, tell us a little bit about it. Who do you work with? Where are you located? Who do you serve?
Thanks, Maddie. Thanks so much for having me. So Mana Financial Life Design is based out of Los Angeles, California, and we are a 100% virtual financial planning firm. And we primarily work with people in tech as well as in finance, primarily because I came from the financial services industry. And Stephanie, my business partner, also came from the financial services industry. We also work in a very tech-heavy state in California, so we also work with folks in technology.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Eric, how about you? You want to tell us a bit about your firm?
Sure, yeah, Beyond Your Hammock was launched back in 2013. I'm in Boston. It was launched initially out of my apartment in Salem, Massachusetts. So it was all virtual at that point. And now we do a lot of face-to-face and virtual meetings depending on where the clients are and what they want to do. My clients are all 30-something professionals, plus or minus 5 years, that are making six figures, typically $300,000 or more households. And they just want to get after it in life. They want to take advantage of today and travel and engage now, but they also want to be responsible about tomorrow. And as much as you might think that people that are making this kind of money and they're in jobs that are pretty risky, like tech and biotech and other places like that, they're oftentimes risk averse when it comes to investing. So it's really about holding their hand and making sure that they understand what's going on so we can feel coordinated and confident that we can move forward and grow our assets while still enjoying today.
Awesome. Great. And we're going to dig into a little bit more about what each of you do specifically for your clients and things like that. But as you know, the topic tonight is marketing. So Eric, I do want to start with you, and I want to give you a shout out because Eric is a founding XYPN member, which means he was one of 31 people 5.5 years ago to believe in XYPN and to start his firm in this sort of manner. So Eric, tell me kind of before you even launched, did you have a marketing plan in place? Did you have an idea of what you were going to go after in terms of marketing?
No, I mean, I was just excited to find a name, really. I mean, it wasn't any kind of marketing plan whatsoever. It was, I have a passion for helping clients that may be a little bit different than the normal financial advisor client. And therefore, I wanted to go out and just share what I was doing with everybody that I knew, whether they were in the industry or out of the industry. And by, I think, the passion that I was sharing it through, people started to get attracted to that. So it was kind of like a magnet, and they'd come to me and say, I want to learn more about this. Can you tell me about how you could help me? And I never had to pitch them because I was just sharing. So that was the initial marketing plan. Just share the heck out of things and network on the ground and just make sure that I was consistent.
Yeah, sharing in terms of just talking about what you were building.
Yeah, about what I was building, who I was doing it for, why I was doing it, and how it connects with me personally, because I basically am trying to look for clients that are similar to me in mindset and income level and living around the city. So it's kind of a similar thing.
Cool. All right. We will get more into that. Cristina, how did you start this? If we go back to before you even launched, did you have a plan in place?
Well, my story comes back from my previous career. So I spent 12 years as a mutual fund wholesaler. And one of my, aha moments was that I had met over 10,000 advisors, and none of them really had a marketing plan. There was a lot of kind of client referrals, and a lot of people really got new clients through osmosis, and they didn't really care that much to really market about their values and what they stood for. So that to me was really, really important when we started Mana. Just like Eric, the name was super important. I didn't want it to be, blank capital or blank wealth management. I really wanted it to stand for the values. And for us, we're all about compassionate finance. And we believe that everyone deserves the power and the chance to really create a life that they're excited to live today. And so that's why we created Mana. When we found that name, that just totally resonated. It's an ancient Hawaiian word for power unrelated to wealth. And so once we found that, I'm also a surfer. We leaned into the Hawaiian theme. We've got leaves all over our marketing. And yeah, it's totally West Coast, and it's exactly what we're about. So that's how we got started.
Awesome. Cool. Cristina, I'll stick with you. How has it evolved? I mean, if we talk about today, what is your main marketing channel? What would you say you and Stephanie rely on most to market your firm?
So I am the chief marketing officer. So it's pretty much, Stephanie does the investments, I do the sales and marketing. So I would encourage everyone to be as authentic as possible. If you are, and so I'm 35 years old, I am a Instagram native. And so for me, that was one of the first things we started was an Instagram for Mana Financial Life Design. Also, I've been on LinkedIn for over a decade. So I really just stuck to the channels that we knew. So LinkedIn, Instagram, we do have a Facebook page, but that really essentially gets transmitted from Instagram. And then finally, for us, one of the biggest marketing channels that we have is our biweekly newsletter. Okay. So it was really important for me to have us share what we were doing in our daily practice. I feel like there's a lot of advisors who don't share enough about how they're staying involved in the community, what they're doing, what they're reading. And so I essentially took Tim Ferriss's 5 Bullet Friday, and I created a Mana Moments newsletter. And so that comes out bi-weekly, and it's written by both Stephanie and I, and it's one of the most fun things that we do every 2 weeks.
I love that. So it is every 2 weeks. It's not twice a week.
Right. The bi-weekly is the most confusing word on the planet, but it could mean both of those things.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Eric, fast forward 6.5 years. What are you relying on most for generating new clients to your pipeline?
It's all online organic searches that people are really using to find Beyond Your Hammock. And I think it started with me writing my blog, number one. So I wrote my blog when I was working for another firm before I even started this one, just to get those ideas starting to roll out there, which led to certain access to certain publications because I had examples online of what I could do. And I think the Huffington Post was one of those things that I did. So just jumping into mainstream sources that already had traffic, so that I didn't have to build up the organic traffic to my website right off the bat. I could just tap into theirs. And if I had a couple hit articles, that would drive traffic back to me. So that's where it started with Huffington Post and Money Magazine, and now Forbes and Business Insider and Kiplinger are really great in helping drive that traffic back. They're helping build backlinks to my website as well. And we're just digging in more and more with the SEO, with our blog and our podcast. I have Kaylee, my wife, who is helping me do all of that stuff now. And it's becoming more of a thing where I think I had, looking for a number here. 40% of our clients are coming through organic search now. So it's just all inbound marketing. And it's been a long road to get to where we are today. But it's amazing to think that I spend next to no time out there on the streets doing anything from a business building perspective.
Awesome. I love that you can quote the 40%, and I have several questions about kind of how do you keep yourself organized, what kind of KPIs. I'll get to that, but we got a lot of questions around content, and Cristina, maybe you can take this one. Is it important that in year one, advisors are producing written content on the regular?
You know what? I was one of those who was absolutely terrified of writing a blog. But looking back, I mean, we started our blog January of this year. Wow. And I'm telling you, it was the best decision we've ever made. It was, after talking to a lot of, experts on SEO, really, truly writing our own thoughts and our own commentary on all the subjects that we work with our clients, work through with our clients, was one of the most important things to really broaden the search capacity for people. And it's brought in a lot more people to our website.
I love that.
Writing and also pictures. People like to see who they're working with, right? And we are a 2-person female-owned firm. So that's super important for people to see who we are.
Yeah. Awesome. And I imagine you're not writing just about the typical content that most consumers could find online, but instead you're adding that personal touch, that level of transparency to folks about what and who you are, that I'm sure really establishes trust with your readers. Eric,
go ahead.
No, all you. I love that.
I was going to say the one thing that when I was a wholesaler, I really focused on consulting to financial advisors about how to make themselves different. Turns out a lot of clients, especially clients that are in Generation X and Y, don't really care that much about hearing about like the best asset class to invest in right now. They want to know who you are and what you care about. As a registered life planner, I focus a lot about, money mindset and really how to transform your current relationship with money. And so a lot of my content focuses on that. And that's turned out to be a really good way to attract the clients that we want to attract.
Awesome. Awesome. And Eric, it sounds like you've been a writer really since day one. with your firm. Do you think it's an important thing for advisors in their first year to start this blog and be producing content?
Well, I mean, I think anything to do with online content, it's a slow game, right? It's a long play for sure. And the sooner you start, the better. It's just like when you're investing, right? You got to start investing somewhere, and that compound effect really takes off down the road. So getting online and doing something, I think you should pick your medium based on what you feel most comfortable with too. If you're not a writer and you don't know any writers that can help you, and you can't afford to buy someone to help you, buy the person, you pay them. But if you can't do that, then you go on video. And if you're not comfortable on video, then maybe you sit behind a microphone and just do what it is that you feel comfortable with and that excites you, because it is that excitement, whether it is through the written word or through video or a podcast, that people are going to be attracted to. So do what you feel comfortable with is my biggest thing, and do it now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Really good advice. Eric, I'll stick with you. And I correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not totally sure how marketing funnels work, but is it at the bottom of the funnel that the website is and that call to action to schedule the call? My question is, how important is the website? I imagine that's kind of besides the call with you, getting people to your website is what you want, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess arguably it's the most important thing that there is. Certainly for this type of clientele that is younger, anybody that's below, 60 years old, even that's even arguable. But anybody below that is going to be looking at the website first. And if you're not online anywhere, just think about the last time you looked for a business or someone you met that owns a business, and you went online and their website was either non-existent or it just looked terrible because it was just cookie cutter and it was like this big inside the screen. You don't even go to the second page. So you have about 8 seconds, I think, or somewhere around there to capture someone's attention. And that website is that place to do that, right? And I think the biggest connector here is, let's say you just somehow fall into some opportunity with CNBC, and now you're going to be on CNBC and you're going to be talking a big game and everybody loves you and they're like, let me go find that person. And then they go try to find you, and what they find does not represent what they thought you actually were. They're going to drop the ball right there. It's not going to be anything. So you have to be prepared for the inflow before the inflow happens. And that website is going to be the backbone of that.
Great advice. Cristina, have you found that the website is kind of the crutch here?
I'd argue, I'm with Eric. I'd argue that it's not only the most important thing, but it's also, as an advisor, as a registered investment advisor, it's the easiest way to separate yourself from the broker-dealer world. If you, I was just talking to a couple of clients earlier today who used to be with advisors in Ameriprise and Merrill Lynch and Raymond James. And if you go and look at those websites, they're all required to look exactly the same. So this is your chance, once you go into RIA world, to really make it your own. And so for us, it was all about putting leaves and the color pink, really to make things a lot more compassionate. And that's really worked well for us.
Awesome. Cristina, you mentioned Instagram, which 6 years ago, I didn't know what Instagram was. 2 years ago, I didn't even have it. So when it comes to social media, is Instagram your primary source? Are you kind of hitting all of them? Or how do you manage that? And is it important, and not just important, is it productive for you? Is it paying off?
I'd say Instagram and LinkedIn are our two primary venues that we communicate to the world. And so Instagram, really, to me, the way I've been thinking about it, it's not a super lead gen engine. However, it keeps us at top of mind for our current clients. We've got 42 clients now, a year and 2 months in. And every time we meet with our clients, they're like, oh my God, I saw that amazing post that you posted on employee benefits. We post about statistics and quotes. It is also, for us, a great way for our current clients and friends. They actually end up referring their friends to our Instagram, which is how they get to learn a little bit more about what we do. And then LinkedIn is where we post our blog posts, again, which are part of the newsletter that we write every 2 weeks.
Got it. I'll have to follow you on Instagram.
All right.
And Eric, how about you? Is there a high ROI with posting in LinkedIn and on some of these other social media channels?
No, I think I'd echo what Cristina was saying. I don't think it's a big lead gen for us. I think maybe 4.5% of our clients come from from social media. But I do think that doesn't mean we can't just ignore it. So we're on there all the time. I mean, with Twitter, if your goal is to grow a huge following, I mean, you should be posting or tweeting as much as possible, like 7 to 10 times a day. We do once a day. I mean, Twitter isn't a really huge driver for us right now. Facebook, we do about 3 to 5 times a week. And we just try to hit it at the time when we know our network is online, because Facebook will show you when they're most active. So you can do that at that time. Oftentimes it's at night. And then LinkedIn, we do once a day, Monday through Friday. So it is staying top of mind. And whether it's industry related in front of advisors, just to keep that echo chamber going, or it's getting in front of journalists, because many times people reach out to me and saying, hey, I saw this post that you had. I really want to write an article about this thing. Can you help us with that? So that helps too. So there's many different uses for social media. I don't think that the least of which really is the actual lead gen for a new client.
Yeah. I want to stick with you, Eric, for a minute, because I'm dying to know. You sound so organized in terms of both just kind of knowing where your clients are coming from, but also kind of the schedule for your marketing. How do you handle that? How does your firm organize its marketing agenda?
We use Wealthbox. I mean, Wealthbox, the CRM, is something that we use to stay organized with all of our tasks, but specifically the marketing funnel, whether it's following up with prospects or remembering to post at certain places and prepare the content, and sitting down at a meeting with Kaylee every 2 weeks to talk about what we're going to do next for the podcast. Like, it's all in there, and we have to do what it says, right? We leave it up to Wealthbox to tell us what to do after we tell Wealthbox to tell us what to do.
Love it. So you stay organized through your CRM. Cristina, do you use a CRM to schedule your marketing initiatives?
We do. We use Redtail. So Redtail just keeps me accountable. I do all the posting myself. So typically for me, it's more of like a Sunday evening. I organize what I want to think about for the week. And then I talk through it with Stephanie. And yeah, it's a little more simplistic for me because I'm a CMO and I am the person who posts everything. So.
Yeah, definitely. Cristina, tell us, what's your understanding of SEO, and is it important to have? I guess, why is it important to have?
So I'll admit to you that it's super important to have, though I don't know how it works. So we actually are part of that fee-only network. Alan Slider is a genius at SEO. And so he actually, I did a call with him when we joined fee-only network. He told me what words to use on every blog post. And I just did that. And the results have been pretty good. We've increased, I think we've doubled our traffic since June, since we've started using that language at the bottom of every one of our blog posts. So,
could you give us just a taste of what language is? Is it like a canned footer on every blog?
Yeah, it's a canned footer about who we are. And so it's, Cristina Livadary is a certified financial planner operating out of Marina del Rey, California. If you go onto feeonlynetwork.com and search, I think almost anyone there has one of those footers.
Awesome. And we do, we're not official partners with the Fee Only Network at XYPN, but we do have a discount to them. So if anyone joins the network, that is something that we provide a discount to. Eric, do you have a deep understanding of SEO and at the very least why it's important for your firm to have it?
I would not say I have a deep understanding of SEO. I think the most valuable thing for us from a website perspective is a very simple plugin called Yoast. It's a free plugin that can really help frame what you need to do and how you need to put in certain words and where when you build your blogs and other things on your website. But when it comes down to it, I mean, just like anything else, if you want to know how to do something, Google it. Really, like, how do I whatever, and you're going to get a lot of content out there. Some of the things that we found is really helpful are HubSpot's blogs and HubSpot Academy, specifically Digital Marketer, a website called Moz, Buffer's blog itself. These places are really good with providing this insight into SEO. I don't think you have to be an expert in SEO to take advantage of the power of SEO. So just learn a little bit and put it to work, and then learn a little bit more and put it to work. Don't think you have to be a master before you start implementing, because it's never going to happen.
Yeah, really, really good advice. Let's talk budget. We got a number of questions submitted about budget, and I'm sure it's evolved, just even Cristina, since Mana has been around. How much were you planning on spending on marketing, and did you blow it out of the water now today? Can you talk to us kind of just about the evolution of the amount that you've invested towards marketing?
So really, when we did our initial financial projections, we planned for $5,000 for the website. And we spent all of that. And we actually have a part-time PhD in data analytics on our team now. And so she is a wizard on all things, user experience. And so we essentially just pay her ongoing to just double check that I'm doing the right things. And then she is, working on the back end for a lot of our website, usability, and we're continuing to really develop our marketing. So I guess a short answer to your question is, yes, we blew it out of the water, but it's very, very important. And that is the way that, you grow.
Yeah, and the fact that you're a dedicated CMO, not every advisor takes that hat and says, I'm proud to be the CMO of my firm. Some people are quite scared of embracing that hat. Given that you are wearing this role, how many hours a week are you spending on marketing?
I would probably say at least 8 hours a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Eric, how about you? How has your budget for marketing evolved over these years? You really have grown a lot over these years, so I imagine that it's grown as well. And the fact Kaylee is working on the team now, I'd love to answer the question about how much time is dedicated to it as well. But I guess start with kind of the evolution of the budget.
Yeah, we started with $0 budget, and we went for a long time with $0 budget. I think right now the only marketing expense that we really have above, like maybe $1,000 is Kaylee, because it's all organic. And I think that's the most important thing. If you're starting out and you don't necessarily have a big budget, then do it yourself. I think that's one of the things that I did best. I was actually at the Next Gen gathering a couple of years ago, and there was a guy there, and he was one of the younger guys, and we were playing volleyball, and he was a volleyball player, and he told me afterwards, he's like, don't take this the wrong way, Eric, but you are a terrible volleyball player. And I was like, all right, that's pretty clear what you're saying there. And it was a little hit to the ego, because I feel like I'm a good athlete. But what he was saying, he's like, no, he's like, you work your ass off out there, but you don't know the strategy. And he's like, that would be a much better choice if I was going to select someone for a team, because I could teach you the strategy, but I can't teach you the effort and the hard work. So I think that is very much resembles my marketing strategy from the beginning. It was just do as much as you can, show up in as many places as you can, and then just repeat that over and over again. And it looked really messy because there was no organization, there was no structure initially. I was trying to meet with a client, get a new prospect in the door, and then go, speak somewhere and then write a blog post and then stress about it. And it just was that kind of never-ending cycle for a long time, probably 3 years in. But then you see that traction start to build up, and that's when you can start maybe to invest in things because you have some revenue coming in. So
Eric, it feels so good to hear you say that. I'm like, when is it going to stop? I feel that exact thing that you're talking about. So
yeah, it's messy back there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Eric, we received a question from a caller on tonight. It said, I see that it's been a while since you created YouTube content. Did you find other mediums created better ROI for you?
I think it was more about the setup. I think the YouTube content that I have out there now, I actually paid somebody to do like a day's session, and we recorded some things, and I didn't love how it came out. I really didn't love how it came out, and I don't know why it's still out there. Really, I've contemplated taking it down, but I think it's really what I feel is the preparation and setup that it takes to get a quality product out there that I just don't have time for right now. And as much as we keep talking about video and everybody's jumping all over video now, and a lot of people should not be in front of a camera because they don't know what they're doing, I do think it's a real big driver for connecting with your audience. As long as you have something to say, something unique to say, something that is going to help educate somebody to pull them in from an emotional perspective, or just some other way to connect as a human being, then do it. Don't go on video to rant. Don't go on video to yell at somebody. Don't go on there and say, hey, this is what a Roth IRA is, because nobody cares. They can Google that. And I think it's just us trying to figure out when to put it back in the marketing mix right now, because other things are working, and we're just going to figure that out as we go.
Yeah. And I want to chat with you about your podcast, because that is a newer marketing initiative you've taken up. But Cristina, are you producing any sort of video? Is video a thing that you rely on?
Well, so Maddie, I think we have a whole video course.
Yay!
So for us, I really wanted to, in my experience consulting with advisors, I knew that serving the underserved is like a huge problem in our industry. And also there, despite the fact that we are going to be somewhat more cost effective than most financial advisors or financial planners, there's still going to be people who can't afford to work with us. And so for us, as we launched Mana Financial Life Design, we also launched at the same time Mana Money School, which is a 4-hour video that's really cut up into bite-sized pieces on really building wealth in your 20s. And so the answer is yes. It took a long time, but my husband, thankfully, is an award-winning documentary filmmaker. So again, the marketing budget didn't have to be spent, thankfully. So
awesome. Oh, awesome. Eric, let's just go right to the podcast. What made you decide to add podcasting to your list of marketing channels?
Well, I think one of the things was that I just really enjoy being a guest on other podcasts. So it's one of those mediums where I feel very comfortable. And just like right now, I love having these conversations. I get very engaged in the conversations, and I think it's generated a lot of traffic back. So we had been doing a lot of written work, and we were just seeing that maybe there's a whole other swath of people that is the target market, but they don't read blogs. They're on the train or they're driving in their car and they're listening to podcasts, and we were not touching them. So having this new medium to talk about very similar things that we write about, in fact, even more personal things, because Kaylee and I are just having conversations about how we deal with our own money, sharing our own money experiences and trials and opportunities that we have. And I think that's really a new place for people to get to know us. And it's starting to build up traction. So people are starting to reach out saying, I'm listening to you. I'm nodding my head saying, yes, yes, yes. I believe, what you're saying. I just needed to reach out to have a conversation to see if you could help me. And that is so satisfying to finally see that happening. I mean, it's only been since January that we started it, but we love it, and we're going to keep doing it.
Awesome. I love that you've continued to evolve what you do to reach new and different, I guess, just not new audiences, but grow your realm of the audiences that you're reaching. But Eric, you did win Member to Watch this year at XYPN Live. We've seen a number of different content items that you've produced that we've put on our blog. You've been on our radio show a number of times. I guess when it comes to advanced folks where you are you ever going to put a stop to the marketing? Like, are you going to reach capacity at any point? I love this question for those of us who are a couple years in. At some point, do you dial it down?
No,
Ah.
no, I want more of it. Like that's what excites me. I mean, to tell you the truth, if I see where, picture myself 10 years from now, it's less of the advisor and more of the rainmaking marketer. And being that, say, like Rick Edelman or someone like that, where if you sign up to work with him or you go to Tony Robbins and want coaching, you're not getting that person. You're getting his brand, and then you're getting a coach that is doing his work. So that's more of what I see myself doing. So it's only going to ramp up the more I get to free up my time to do more of it.
Yeah, great answer. Great answer. Cristina, Mana won Firm of the Year at XYPN Live this year. So we really have an all-star crew on the call tonight. Do you have plans on ramping down the marketing if you reach capacity at any point in the future?
What's capacity?
You tell me.
No, we're a year in, and we are looking to grow a boutique firm that's dedicated to changing people's perspectives on money and helping them design a life that they're truly excited to live. So there's a lot of work to do here in America.
Absolutely. And you were just on XYPN radio. So tell me, you don't have a podcast yourself, but have you been on other podcasts, and have you seen that as being a lead driver for folks to your website?
Yeah, it's a couple answers to that one. So interesting. I'm up here in San Francisco right now, and we hosted an event at General Assembly in San Francisco on money and relationships on Monday. And it was one of the first moments where I was like, whoa, because we had 3 people come into the room that I'd never met before that said, I'd heard you on the XYPN podcast. Yay. And I came here to this event to meet you. I'm so surprised you look exactly like your photo. So that was one of those, okay, like, wow, we're making moves now. This is exciting. And for us right now, because time is so finite, we are focusing on being on other podcasts, and we're really, really excited that, for us, our ethos is compassionate finance. So we align with a lot of the wellness podcasts. So in 2 weeks, we are going to be on probably the biggest podcast we've ever been on, a podcast called That's So Retrograde. It's 2 amazing women out of Los Angeles, and one of their last guests was presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. So we're very excited to follow her.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Eric, I want to talk a bit about niching up and deciding on a niche and then marketing tailoring your marketing around that niche. What's that journey been for you? Did you feel like you went out of the gate with a niche and you marketed directly towards them, or have you refined it over these years?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Initially, it was very broad-based. It was people in their 20s and 30s that needed financial help. So, I mean, that's pretty much everybody. But it was still a very different environment, or a very different target market than any other advisors were doing. So it was nice to be the only one in the field. And then I realized that not everybody in their 20s and 30s is a good fit for Beyond Your Hammock. And I think it's really when we started to dig into that not too long ago, when Kaylee came on board and we just started talking about who really is that client. And we realized that we were trying to not only target a demographic of people in their 30s that were making 6-figure incomes, but also a psychographic. And there's a lot of like, what do people that I want to work with believe? What do they not believe? What do they like to do? What do they not like to do? I mean, it's these questions that you ask that starts to drill down and get more specific. And then between speaking directly to that person, that one person in all of my content, and also sharing our own financial stories and being authentic, it's the combination of those 2 things that really drove it home. And the people who are going to be your cheerleaders and believe what you believe are going to come out in droves, because they know that you are their person. And until you commit to that, I think you're just going to get dribs and drabs of different types of people that will be fine, but won't ever be that fully engaged group of people that you want to work with.
I love that concept of a psychographic. That's so true, that you're really looking for a certain type of person with certain beliefs and values. And Cristina, I think Mana really came out of the gate strong with focusing on a niche. Have you really felt like you speak directly to that niche on a continued basis, or do you deviate to try to capture some general audience members as well?
No, I think we've been very, very focused. I mean, the name Mana Financial Life Design certainly speaks to a very specific kind of person. And we've built all of that, not only into our marketing, but into our onboarding process. So we start out in the very beginning of our FIT meeting, we ask them about early memories of money. And, you know, we really, really try to identify people who want to talk about feelings. And if they're not a good fit, they'll probably drop out after that first meeting. So
feelings are scary.
They are.
Yeah. Cristina, you referenced early on in the call that you had worked with 10,000 advisors before you even started your own firm. We've seen at XY, we ask members kind of on a continued basis, where are your clients coming from? And then we're able to kind of segment it out based on like year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and even into the business phases. And really what the story of that data has shown is that networking really is the main driver for clients in the first 3 years. And it's really not until the 5th year that inbound marketing starts to be what people cite as being where they're getting their clients. How important was getting out in front of people? And to that point, because I think you've answered some of that already, where did you go to get in front of people as you continue to network in your first year?
Yeah, fair question. So it actually started out, I mean, both Stephanie and I worked in finance. And so that was kind of the natural first email out. So we emailed people in the hedge fund industry and in asset management. And we let them know what we were doing. And it was pretty cool to get, you know, chief investment officers saying, hey, I've actually never thought about this for my personal money. And so really it did come from the network. But actually very much like Eric, we haven't gone out and, you know, really marketed individually with the, you know, I used to call it like steak and whiskey dinners, right? The old school, like, you know, please come to this event at Maggiano's and we'll buy you a, you know, a steak. We never did that. Vehemently opposed to that. And so for us, it's really been about, you know, really articulating who and what we're about, and then going and writing about it. And we've had a lot of, in the first year, just inbound emails, you know, from my friend told me about this, or I heard you on this podcast, or I saw this, this blog post and I want to talk to you guys.
Any involvement in like chamber of commerce or volunteer organizations, or getting on to going to local meetups, anything like that? I hear a lot of members say that that's going to be kind of what they focus on in the first year.
It's interesting. We haven't had time to do that. I mean, for me, volunteerism is an important part of my value proposition in life. So I volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, and I do pro bono financial planning for them, but I've never used it as a tool to meet people. We've focused on being that virtual financial planner, and it's really been our friends and family first. That have really started the ball rolling. And then if you give people a wonderful client experience, they're going to talk to their friends about it.
Yeah, absolutely. As we get granular with the data, it really is friends and family are the first places people get clients, and then it's centers of influences, then it's client referrals. So it's still kind of that network. And I do want to ask you all about referrals in a minute, but Eric, it sounded like you really were networking in person for a large majority of your first few years. Where were you going, and where did you find your audience?
Well, I think I didn't network until I had to network. And when I started networking was when I left JP Morgan as a mutual fund analyst and became a financial advisor working for other firms. And I had to generate my own clientele, and I was doing it the old school way. So I did what I knew to do. I went and joined my high school alumni association board, my college alumni association board. I joined several different BNI chapters, so Business Networking International. chapters where you meet weekly with a group of people that are all in different professions, but you get to know, like, and trust them and start to pass referrals that way. I was doing pro bono work for various organizations, just trying to just continue to get my name out there. And a lot of it was empty, meaning not empty like I felt great doing it, but empty from a client perspective. I wasn't getting clients from it, but that built a very solid foundation. So now the people who knew me then see me now and they're like, I know him. I know what he's doing. He's done good work. He's volunteered his time. So he's a good person. And now he's been recognized as a great advisor. So the door is wide open and now I can refer people to him. I could come to him personally. So that was something that I didn't know was going to happen, but certainly has come back tenfold in the end.
Wow. Wow. We had a number of questions submitted around referrals, and I guess, do you know your referral rate, Eric? And even if you don't, is there a right time to ask for referrals? Someone asked that on the call tonight. Do you ask for referrals?
I think well, go to your first question. I think I had written that down. Yes. We have about 20, what does it say? Beyond your hammock. I don't even know what I'm writing here. Oh, about 24% of our clients come from referrals.
That's huge.
And I think it's just referrals of other people in the industry. One of the things the first thing I did out the gate when I started my firm was emailed about 40 different NAPFA advisors to say, hey, I'm going to be a NAPFA member. I wasn't even a NAPFA member yet. And I'm doing something completely different than you're doing. So let's talk and maybe we can help each other out. And I think maybe even if they didn't believe that I could help them out, they wanted to help me out because I was younger and just starting out, and they probably remembered where they were back then. And I've gotten clients. I had one advisor say, hey, work with my daughter and her husband and I'll pay for it. Like that kind of thing was happening very early on. So tapping into that kind of referral source is really great because they know the business. They're getting people coming to them and they don't want to work with a lot of them because they just don't fit their minimums. I think you asked me another question and I didn't know if I answered it though.
Yeah, did you ask for referrals?
Oh,
I mean,
never have asked for referrals. I don't want to. I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't think for us it's not appropriate. I think that it can work for other people. I just won't do it.
Love it. It's a hard line. Great. Christina, to my first question, do you track your referral rate? Do you have an idea of how many of your 40-some clients came in as referrals?
Yeah, I mean, we don't track it, but because we have 42, I know it. And it's surprising. I mean, I would say it's between 50 and 60% have come from referrals. Whether it's, referrals from other advisors. So very much like Eric, because I'd worked with, advisors in my previous career, I spoke about what I was trying to do and the firm we were trying to build. So we get a good amount of referrals every month from fee-only RIAs that have $5 million minimums. And so we get those clients, which is awesome. And then also referrals from CPAs, as well as women in institutional investing.
Awesome. Now, do you ask for referrals?
So we do it like in our newsletter, just in terms of, if you enjoy, reading this, we ask for a referral into the newsletter, but we haven't really directly asked for, client referrals, because I think one of the biggest misconceptions I hear people say is like, how do you attract people that don't feel like they don't need financial planning? And to me, my answer is, well, why would you want to work with why would you want to convince someone of that? If they don't want financial planning, they're going to be a pain to work with. So you want to find the people that are already interested in financial planning, and for me, financial life planning. And you want to spread your message to them.
Oh, that is such a good point. Such a good point. Cristina, we'll stay with you. What a lot of folks on this call, I imagine, are coming or currently in the broker-dealer world and will maybe make that transition into the fee-only world and into the solopreneur path of running an RIA. Compliance comes as a very scary black cloud over their heads when they start firms. I've worked with a lot of new members who are very concerned about what they can or cannot say in their marketing, about what they do. Do you have any tips for that? Is there anything off limits?
Well, I mean, I think it's the same, you know, if you kind of feel a little sketchy saying it, you probably shouldn't say it. If you come from the broker-dealer world, you know, it's like you can't guarantee performance. And really, to me, you should be focusing on creating value outside of investment performance for your clients. And you should be articulating that in your marketing. We really believe in having a very compliant, heavy policy within our firm, especially because my business partner used to work in hedge fund risk management. So we invest in XYPN's, you know, compliance program. So we pay XYPN's team to work with us every single month and review our files and make sure that we are doing the right things.
Yeah, great. Great. I was going to say that for any advisor or future advisors, really, I mean, from my understanding, outside of testimonials, there's not too much that's off limits, but I love your golden rule that if it feels icky, probably don't post it. Eric, what's been your relationship with marketing in terms of, do you feel like you're really confined to the limits and constraints of your regulator, or are you, what advice do you have for folks in that realm?
No, I mean, I think, and I often forget where I came from as far as how I had to be when I was working previously, and that was the broker-dealer world. So for 3 different broker-dealers, I had to write content that would pass through their teams, which was virtually impossible because everything was promissory language. Everything, you couldn't say peace of mind because that was promissory language. It was just absurd. So I knew how to write to pass through those barriers or those obstacles. So coming into the fee-only world, I mean, it was much easier to write knowing the constraints that I came from. So I never feel that I'm doing anything that is outside the realm of compliant. Don't do the promissory language, don't guarantee anything. Just share things. And it's just easy, really. And then just track it.
Love it. Eric, someone asked just now about, have you ever used an app or a service that pairs clients to you? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but have you used any of those services where you're paying to get leads?
Not at Beyond Your Hammock. I mean, I think that was one of the gimmick things that we'd find, you know, working in the broker-dealer world. It was always like, where are we going to get our next client? Is it going to be a seminar? Is it going to be this new innovative program that's going to connect us with the right COIs? Or is it going to be someone that's going to just send leads to our door? I mean, I think all of it's BS, really, when it comes down to it. And I would never pay a dime for something like that anymore, ever.
Right. Great. Cristina, how about you?
So I'm going to name names, I guess. But and this was also on the XYPN Facebook group. But we had Smart Asset has been doing a lot of marketing to us, and you know, saying, hey, promising a lot of things. We love Smart Asset as a tool. That, you know, they have a great paycheck calculator, a lot of personal finance things they have on their website that we enjoy. So we thought, hey, maybe this is a new fintech company that might be offering something different. So we actually did a 4-month trial with them, and the results were absolute trash to Eric's suspicions. Very much a gimmick, and there was very little vetting of the folks that they were, you know, purportedly sending us. So we discontinued and continue to let people know we were very unhappy with that service.
Yeah, absolutely. Cristina, did you pay for any like Facebook ads or ad boosting? We got a couple questions about that.
We don't. Not right now.
Yeah. Eric, how about you? Do you spend any money on Facebook advertising?
No, I mean, we've you know, thrown like $50 or something at a boost just to see, like, if I think one of the things that you can do is when you post and organically it gets a lot of traffic, then you pick that thing to boost, because it's already working. But don't, throw a ton of money at it. And we certainly don't pay for any Facebook ads right now or Google pay-per-click type things. I think it can work, don't get me wrong, but I think the organic content-driven SEO strategy is that longer-term play that's going to be paying dividends in the end. And there's only so much you can throw at these quick turnaround type things, because eventually you're going to run out of money.
Yep, absolutely. Eric, what's the view? This question just came in. I think it's relevant. What's the view on having a solicitor agreement with professionals like CPAs, real estate agents, et cetera?
You mean having them send you clients and then you're basically paying some, like splitting the fee or something like that with a client maybe? That can work. I don't do it. I think it just gets a little bit complicated because you do have to make sure that the client is aware that there's a solicitor agreement. They have to sign that solicitor agreement to see that there's a relationship there. To me, it just feels like if I'm gonna be fee only fiduciary, that starts to get into a gray area, and they start to question, well, what other strings is he being pulled by? So I don't do it. I think it might be a good starting place. If you don't have any other way to get the clients, try everything you possibly can to get the clients.
Yeah. Cristina, how about you? Have you set up any solicitor agreements?
Agreed with Eric. We draw a hard line. We think there's, for us, it's just easier to be that fiduciary that's totally on the side of the client. And, if a little bit of an argument can be made that there might be some action that's not in the best interest, we don't want to get involved. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't mean that you don't spend time with centers of influence to continue to broaden and work together. I mean, we do joint events with, real estate agents and CPAs that are, sometimes they'll bring their clients to them, but there's no solicitor agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of the growth that both of you have talked about tonight probably goes back to those seeds you planted early on in that. I mean, it really is like blogging is, it's a long-term play, but you never know that when someone hears a story of someone and thinks, man, they're really talking about needing help from a certain type of person, you're in their mind. So the power of kind of the loop back referral is quite strong. So maybe you don't need a solicitor agreement at all. We are rounding out the hour. I want to see if we can get just one more question answered. And two more. I have two more for you. In building a brand and sharing your message or purpose, do you intervene other interests like personal interests? It sounds like you do. Is that part of your brand, or do you keep it separate and stick to financial planning instead of other related topics? It sounds like both of you have really bought in or been really transparent with your clients about your personal brand. Eric, is that something you're going to continue to do? And how much should people really personalize their story?
I think it's the best thing you could possibly do. People want to work with people. And if you're not sharing who you are and what you do and what you believe, you don't come across as human online because they haven't shook in your hand. So all they have is what they see online. So we love to talk about, our whole premise is using money as a tool to live a life that we love. So if we're not sharing about the things that we do that we love, that money has helped us get to, or at least understanding how we use our money to support that life by engaging in today and still balancing that long-term responsibility for tomorrow, then we're not going to be living what we preach. And if we're not living what we preach, we're not authentic. And if we're not authentic, then it's all out the window.
Great. Cristina, how about you?
If you ask all the biggest Instagram influencers about what they do, it's all about being authentic and sharing their story. And for us, that's what makes us different. And humanity is what the world is seeking with financial advisors. It's the reason, I think, the lack of humanity is the reason why we're the least trusted profession out there. And so show people who you are and what you love doing. My business partner recently got engaged, and that was like top picture in the newsletter, right? I mean, people want to know that we're human and to Eric's point, living our best life.
Love it. Love it. I do have one short question for you both, but I want to just reiterate a couple points that I made at the top of the call. I cannot believe that we are approaching the end of the hour. I promised both Eric and Cristina that this call goes by quite fast. And I felt it tonight. But don't forget, please do write down Cristina and Eric's name on your application to XYPN membership if you do end up joining. I do know joining XYPN is also a long-term play. It doesn't just happen overnight. But if this was a really meaningful webinar for you, we really want to know that both on the application and in the survey that we're going to circulate. So please go ahead, just drop in a couple comments about tonight. Make sure you register for next month's webinar about technology and the tips and tricks on incorporating and integrating technology into your firm. So finally, Eric, I just sensed a lot of frustration in some of the questions we received tonight, just like maybe marketing just wasn't going well for people. What's one piece of advice you would give to them?
Don't stop. I think it's one foot in front of the other. It's consistently taking the actions, and even though you're not seeing results, you can't stop in like short term. Like, right, it's like the client comes to you and says, you just invested my money, and a year later it's not earning anything. It's way it went down, or it only earned 2%. What's up? What do you tell them? It's a long-term play, right? So you gotta have faith that what you're doing is going to produce results, and the only way that it's going to produce results is if you take one foot in front of the other.
That is so true for so many parts of life, Eric. Thank you so much for that. Cristina, how about you? One piece of advice to the frustrated marketers out there.
Don't spread yourself too thin. I think there's a lot of people who try to be on every social media platform and write blogs and be on podcasts, and that is so tiring. So pick what you love, and again, don't stop, because this is the long game. You are the owner of your business for the rest of your life. So go for it and have fun.
Love it. Always have fun. That's so wonderful. Well, Cristina and Eric, it is such a pleasure to catch up with the both of you and learn from you both as you both have become kind of marketing masters over these years. I suspect this was a very valuable call to our callers tonight. So thank you so much for your time. Callers, thank you for your great questions. Please always feel free to submit questions ahead of time. We try to get to as many as possible. But I'll see you back here next month. Otherwise, have a safe and wonderful Wednesday night. Get to sleep. Everyone, I know it's late on the East Coast. Cheers, Cristina and Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.